Well, the Oscars came, and I'm happy to say Emilia Perez only took home 2 awards, which is still two too many, but I was satisfied with the results overall, and the host. I love Conan. But that's not what y'all really care about, is it? No! Everyone was waiting for a real Cinephile's Best Picture selection, and I am happy to oblige. In this video, I'll give the list of my 10 favorite movies of 2024, starting with some honorable mentions, which will probably ruffle more feathers than what's actually on the list. The first honorable mention I have is for The Wild Robot. I really liked this movie. It is notably visually stunning. The same division of DreamWorks who did the wonderful Puss in Boots: The Last Wish worked on this movie as well, and it shows. The only thing that holds it back for me is some major pacing in the middle and third act. My complaint for a lot of movies, frankly, but it really feels like the story ended at one point and then just kind of kept going. When I later learned this is because the movie combined the stories of the first 2 books in the trilogy into one, it made sense. Still, this is a super sweet movie packed with wonderful, beautiful colors and details. I'd be more than happy if it won something in animation. My next honorable mention is Wicked. I did intend on giving this a full review. I even gave it a shout out in my Thanksgiving video, but I had a fun trip to the ER the week of Thanksgiving, so that's my excuse. I liked Wicked. It was a lot of fun to watch. The performances all around were very well done, and I got what I wanted out of it. It's still a part 1 of 2, with a runtime longer than Avengers: Infinity War for some reason, and is not lit very well for some reason. Like, if you're going to commit to the old school feel, to tip the hat to Wizard of Oz, why does half of your movie look like it was given an Instagram filter from 2013? My favorite song in the movie in sequence, Dancing Through Life, is the best example. Like, look at this shot. Wait, hold up. Oh, never mind. This is fine. This is fine, actually. I don't know. I really liked Jon Chu's last movie, In the Heights, a lot. And that looked better and had much more interesting choreography throughout the whole movie versus just in certain sequences. I just think that with some technical improvements, I could get behind it being fantastic instead of just pretty good. Ariana and Cynthia Erivo are innocents, and for the record, I was absolutely rooting for Ariana. This is undeniably the superior musical. Next honorable mention is for The Fall Guy. This is just a really fun time at the movies, like a real throwback action movie, blockbuster adventure that happened to be a rom-com, and it was just super underappreciated, honestly. Like, I was surprised when this didn't blow up at the box office. I would be happy to put this on the list if the opening was a bit neater. There's some stuff, there's a lot of setup in the first act that just doesn't flow well until the movie moves a bit and it slowly pieces together. It just feels like it took time in that aspect. But the actual stunts were, of course, amazing. The fights, great, and it was kind of hilarious. I watched this with my parents on Mother's Day, and this is absolutely a mom movie, and I mean that in the best way possible. Shout out to stunt people. They deserve more credit and absolutely more recognition. The next and final honorable mention is Inside Out 2. I wanted to highlight this one as the first movie is so dear to me, and Disney has been missing with their sequels lately. So I was more than worried about this, to the point where I skipped watching it in theaters and watched it on Disney+, just like Walt intended. But this was good. A little too fast-paced, and some characters were introduced as jokes or references, despite there being ample room for someone like Bing Bong. But the main emotional aspect of the movie were the new emotions, all of whom I got a kick out of, even if it seemed like there were just a little too many. But I was very moved, and felt like there is this weight off my shoulders after watching it, feeling seen and understood with my anxiety, just like the first movie, even if this one was notably clunkier. And now, the actual list. Starting with number 10, Transformers 1. I already did a 20-minute long video on this already, so I'm just gonna say that, yeah, this isn't a 9 out of 10 movie after all, and it's kind of the reason I stopped rating movies, because I put that out there and then thought about it, and I was like, what? But I do think about it a lot more than other animated movies that came out last year, especially the ones already mentioned. So it's worth putting here, and I want to be known, at least in this circle, as one of its biggest shooters. It's now on Paramount Plus and worth buying on DVD. Number 9 goes to We Live in Time. A24 distributed a Hallmark movie starring my two favorite British people. Of course I was going to love this. The performances of these two leads don't make it feel like you're watching a romance movie, but a visual scrapbook of the trials and tribulations this couple has gone through. This is just such a romantic movie and feels genuine. It feels real. We Live in Time is available to buy or rent digitally on DVD and should be coming to Max soon. The most recent watch on this list, number 8, is A Real Pain. I just got done watching this while I was writing the script, and I had a good time with it. The kind of movie that quietly sticks with you long after, that you plan on revisiting, just not sure when, which is fitting, given its characters both masterfully performed by writer-director Jesse Eisenberg and universally expected Oscar-winning co-star Kieran Culkin. Hilarious as it is heartfelt, it's the very definition of dramedy that doesn't overstay its welcome at a brash but brief 90 minutes. It's uncomfortable to watch, but so well shot, and it contrasts beautifully visually speaking as much as it does emotionally. A Real Pain is currently streaming on Hulu and Disney+. Number 7 is another recent entry. I actually saw this on a re-release a few weeks ago, especially after it was personally recommended to me by two people, you know who you are, Anora. This was such a weird little movie that I genuinely did not know where it's going for so much of the runtime. I saw one trailer, I think before Longlegs, and figured it was going to be like just a sadder Cinderella, but I was so glad to be wrong. This isn't like a lot of modern movies, some being mentioned on here, where it's a series of events and that's the plot. This movie largely takes place over one day, a couple days, with the initial setup showing a week prior, and makes it more entertaining as it's surprisingly hilarious and ultimately heartbreaking. This is my first Sean Baker movie, but it's definitely not going to be my last. I'm not surprised this movie walked away with any Oscars. It definitely deserved them, but going home with 5 was a nice surprise, and I cannot wait to see what Mikey Madison does next. At number 6 we have My Old Ass. I love the idea of this movie so much, and I was more than happy with the direction it took. Long story short, before leaving her hometown, Elliot takes some funny mushrooms with her friends and ends up meeting her future self. Throughout the movie, the older Elliot shows the younger one just how special each moment is in the present. I definitely thought Aubrey Plaza, the old in question, would have a bigger role in terms of screen time. She was in a lot of the marketing, she's on a poster. But young Elliot, played by Maisie Stella, her first time in a feature-length film, gives a great performance and has such wonderful chemistry with Aubrey that you do believe they are the same person, just in very different stages of life. This is already an emotionally compelling movie, but the ending lands a bigger gut punch, especially with recent events in Aubrey Plaza's life. It's also genuinely funny, and has the best use of a Justin Bieber song in any movie I've ever seen. My Old Ass is currently available to watch on Amazon Prime. That's not a sentence I ever thought I'd say out loud on the internet. Number 5 is Problemista. I'm so glad this movie got released, even after its delays due to the writer's strike, because it's just so wonderfully weird. It's surrealist while realistically awkward, a new style I really want to see more of. It's a fantastical tale on immigration, class division, and the importance of being self-assertive. It has very big theater kid energy, and if you've seen this movie or were a theater kid, no, I do mean that as a compliment. Julio Torres does a great job at being the most awkward character in the room, but also the straight man for so many jokes where he's the only voice of reason, especially to a sympathetic Tilda Swinton, who's interesting. She's this very unhinged woman, and it's a weird character that you don't want to like, but kind of do. She's married to RZA. Not obviously the rapper, but that's who plays her husband in the movie. Even the casting of this movie is strange in the best way possible. Above all else, the movie has such a unique sense of humor that I know it won't be everyone's cup of tea, but on both viewings, I absolutely cracked up. And no, that egg pun was not intentional. Problemista is currently streaming on Max. Though this one technically came here to the US at the very start of the year, it was released over in Britain around October of 2024. That's right, Wallace and Gromit: A Vengeance Most Foul. It's a movie I've already talked about, like Transformers 1, but once I saw the Academy had it up for awards, I figured it deserved a spot here. It's not my favorite of the franchise. I think Curse of the Were-Rabbit is a bit funnier, as well as a bit neater, but this is still a great time, even if I'm a bit biased. A Vengeance Most Foul is currently streaming on Netflix. At number 3, we have Civil War. This was a really unique viewing experience for me personally, as I actually got the opportunity to see this movie a couple months before it was released, and was not allowed to talk about it or say that I did go see it early. And it was really hard to do, not just because of how much I liked it, but because of how compelling and unfortunately timely it is. What I appreciated about this movie that may turn some people off is that it remains objective, which tracks considering it takes place through the eyes of the war photographers and not the soldiers. I think based on the premise and marketing, a lot of people expected this to not only take a side per se, but be more of an action movie versus a harrowing political anti-war thriller that's heavy on show, not tell. At the post-viewing screening, one guy said, "I just feel like when they got to the White House, there should have been more resistance." And you know, I thought that's fair. It's not like people can walk into the White House and start stealing stuff. All in all, we're left with some very moving performances. Jesse Plemons having the most powerful scene of the movie, and grim deliverances from veteran photographer in Kirsten Dunst, and seeing the realization of just how twisted humanity can become in the eyes of younger workers and people in general through the up-and-coming Kaylee Spaney. Civil War is available to rent or buy digitally, buy on DVD, and is currently streaming on Max. This is where things get really interesting. If you know me, you know I didn't shut up about one movie in particular after seeing it almost exactly a year ago. I watched this and was so sure it was movie of the year for almost the entirety of 2024, until one snuck up on me, but I'll get to that next. My second pick for the best movie of 2024 is Dune Part 2. I'm not even trying to be funny here with the numbers. I'm honestly as shocked as you are that this isn't number one, because, man, what a movie. Like, what hasn't been said about this yet? You know, the way it looks, the sound. This is the kind of movie IMAX was made for. And after seeing it twice that way, I can say I absolutely loved it. So many big blockbusters get compared to Empire Strikes Back, but of the follow-ups we've seen recently, this is the only one I can see the parallels to and understand the thrilling stakes of the rising action and just the wow effect that this movie has. The twists and turns it takes from the first one while building up on top of what we know, as we've been told, the dark parallels and arcs that characters go through. The sandworm riding sequence alone, man, come on! The only thing that does sort of bring this down is that it is justifiably long, but drags for a stretch between Act 2 and 3, a common issue I have with movies, as I noted, and how they get to the rising action, but also the choices this adaptation does take from the book are more than strange, especially when it's clear they had the time for them. Alex Garland understood what he had in Stephen McKinley Henderson, but I'm not sure why Denis, as great as a director he is, would cut out not only a great actor, but a very important and interesting character from the book. That being said, the ending of this movie is so damn good. The invasion, the duel, the final shot, mwah! I can't wait for Messiah, even if it's not going to follow the book whatsoever. I'm very happy that this movie took home the awards that it did. Dune Part 2 is available to rent or buy, digitally or on DVD, and is streaming on Max. And then we have number 1. Allow me to open this by saying that Dune Part 2 changed the way I looked at blockbusters and movies, and in some ways, science fiction itself. But after watching this film, I stepped out of the theater and had a notably different way that I looked at life. And this isn't some big sci-fi epic, a story that existed in one man's mind. This is actually based on real life. My favorite movie of 2024 is Sing Sing. I believe this movie was robbed at the Oscars for what it was nominated for, and in my opinion, deserved a Best Picture nom, more than half of the movies that were actually up there. Colman Domingo brings to life the true story of a man inside the Sing Sing Correctional Facility, where a group of men find solitude in each other and in the art of acting. This movie made history as it actually played its theatrical re-release in theaters, how I saw it, and prisons simultaneously, through a collaboration between distributor A24 and the Rehabilitation Through the Arts, a real-life nonprofit organization that this movie is about, and Edovo, a nonprofit that provides access to education and tablets to incarcerated people throughout the country. This is probably the lightest movie about prison you'll ever see, and it's really only rated R for language, so to me that makes it basically PG-13. There's no violence or grit, but there is an honest anger and frustration. This movie hit for me not only as I get more aware of the situation many Americans face, but just how many innocent people are locked up currently. As an audience, we sympathize with him a lot, and it's a conversation that's always worth having, especially as it disproportionately affects the Black community. That being said, this movie is also a beautiful testament to the power of theater, of acting, and art itself. There are a lot of movies about movies or making movies, which are very popular and almost always win an award because of that. But Sing Sing differs in that several of these men play themselves. This is their story. This is their movie, their art. It's so refreshing to see a movie where men are open about their emotions and express themselves and remember what it means to be human, all while living the most solitary life that one can live. I recommend this movie to anyone and everyone, not just those who like movies or theater or those who are passionate about this subject matter. I think it's a must-see movie for any living, breathing human being, and that's why it's my number one. Colman Domingo gives such a good performance as John G. Whitfield that it's honestly infuriating he's not holding the Oscar right now. I haven't seen The Brutalist, so I can't speak on Adrien Brody's performance. I do like him and everything I've seen him in. All I'm gonna say is, Mr. Domingo would not have told them to stop the music so that he could continue his speech, only to not really say anything at all. I think Colman is well aware of the power of this movie in Sing Sing, and could have used it to actually discuss things like racism and societal injustice, instead of just saying, racism bad. Grinds my gears. In any case, Sing Sing is a masterpiece, and I adored every minute of it. Sing Sing is available to buy or rent on Amazon and is streaming on Max at the end of the month. If you have Max, please watch this movie. I will be buying the fancy A24 Blu-ray just because I want to own it, not have to worry about streaming, taking it off, and for a few dollars more, would love to get the physical goodies and gorgeous artwork. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. What can I say? Thank you so much for watching. I will try to do next year's top 10 before the Oscars, but I think this one worked out okay. It is pretty funny seeing a now Best Picture winner at the top of my list versus in like the final three. But what are you gonna do? Everyone's a critic. What were your favorite movies of last year? And what did you think of the Oscars? Comment below and let me know. I will see you next episode. Same exact time, same exact channel.